Even knowing what I know about the 5-second rule, I believe the high five habit is 1,000 times more powerful. And the reason why I say that is because the 5-second rule will help you break patterns of behavior. It'll help you push through fear. It'll help you take action. It'll help you interrupt thoughts. It will help you walk away from things, define boundaries. It's very action-oriented. The high five habit works at a much deeper level. It solves what I believe is everybody's core issue and problem. And that is the issue and the habit of hating yourself, of criticizing yourself, of not liking yourself, of beating yourself up. And as successful as I've become, and as much as I've accomplished, it wasn't until I stumbled into the high five habit that I truly confronted the fact that in spite of all that success, I still didn't like myself. I still judged the woman in the mirror. I was still in many ways betting against myself by constantly beating the hell out of myself, and it was a habit. And so the high five habit is very, very simple. So I'm on a mission to get every single human being on the planet to add high-fiving themselves in the mirror to their morning routine. That right after you brush your teeth, put down the toothbrush, look at yourself in the mirror, raise your hand and send yourself into your day, knowing that you have your own back, knowing that no matter what happens today, you will be here, there to support you and encourage you, no matter what, because you haven't been. And I know based on research that it is. That we talk a big game about gratitude and meditation and morning routines, but we've skipped this one thing that's happening in everybody's morning routine, and it's a habit of self-rejection, of self-criticism. And every human being has it, I kid you not. And standing there that morning, overwhelmed by life, giving myself the morning just kind of beat down and, negativity, I couldn't think of anything to say to myself. And I wouldn't have believed it anyway, because I felt overwhelmed. And as pathetic as it sounds, I don't know what came over me. But for whatever reason, again, I think it was probably divine intervention. I just raised my hand and I gave the woman in the mirror a high five because she looked like she needed one. That very first one, a couple things happened. I actually laughed because it was so cheesy. I now know that the reason why I laughed is because your brain drips dopamine when you give somebody a high five. And then I felt like a switch flip. And it wasn't like I was like, yes, but I just felt myself go from this very low state. I didn't even think any words, but energetically, I felt myself go from feeling defeated to sort of come on now. You got a roof over your head. It's not that bad. Get your ass out. Like it was kind of like that kind of tough coach kind of mustering of an energy. But Stephen, it was the second morning when everything broke wide open. So I wake up, same problem, same kind of energetic, depleted overwhelm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I get out of bed. I make my bed. And as I'm walking to the bathroom, I'm not even to the bathroom yet, and then it freaking hits me. I realize I'm experiencing something I've never felt in my entire adult life. And what I'm experiencing is this. When you go and you're about to meet somebody at a cafe that you really love and you're about to walk in the door, what are you feeling? Yeah, I felt that about seeing myself. Now, I've felt excited to see an outfit or a haircut. I don't ever recall as an adult feeling excited to see the human being, Mel Robbins. I was excited because the experience of high-fiving yourself is more than a gesture. It creates partnership, and there's a sense that you're returning home. The same way that a neighbor waves to you and sees you, I knew that I would have that experience with myself as soon as I rounded the corner and walked into that bathroom. Because what I realized that second morning as I rounded the corner and walked into the bathroom is that there's actually two human beings in the bathroom every morning. There's you, and there's a human being in the mirror. And that human being is trying, and they've been there a long time, and they've been waiting for you to wake up and to see them. They're tired of your constant negativity. They're tired of you beating them down. They need you to be more encouraging. They need you to be more celebratory. They need your support. And when you finally wake up and create a moment with yourself every single morning where you look yourself in the eye and you see yourself and you forgive yourself and you honor yourself and you say, I believe, with this gesture in you, it is this remarkably deep and spiritual feeling of connection that you've been longing for a very long time. And so that second morning, I'm realizing it's like it's sort of like when you first realize that the voice in your head isn't you, and you have this whole paradigm shift. When you allow yourself to understand the depth of what I'm trying to teach you, there will be a paradigm shift that will fundamentally change how you live your life. The hardest part is looking at yourself. 50% of men and women cannot or will not look at themselves in the mirror because they are either disgusted or disappointed with where they are in life. And if you cannot look at yourself in the mirror, that is an act of self-rejection. That is an act of self-criticism. That is an act of self-hatred. That's not just a casual thing you're doing. The rest of us that can look at ourselves, what we do when we look at ourselves is we focus on the things we need to fix. For most women, putting on makeup is not additive. It's not a creative expression. It's covering something up that you don't like. It's changing something that you think is wrong. That action, that intention behind it is self-rejection. It is self-criticism. It is self-hatred. And for so many men, if it's not about your appearance, it's about where you are in life, what you've provided, how much you've made, what car you drive, where you stand in your career, what you've built, what you haven't, the mistakes that you've made. So you stand in judgment. And what is so groundbreaking about the act of being where you are in life, even with all that judgment or that weight or that shame or that regret or whatever it may be that you carry into the bathroom with you based on your life. When you raise your hand to high five the human being you see in the mirror, your brain has neural association with that physical action. The physical action in and of itself is a positive trigger for every human being on the planet. Even if you are in a culture where people do not high-five each other. You have seen sports teams do it. You have seen viral videos with it. Your brain knows exactly what a high-five is. You don't even have to say a word because all of the positive programming is already hardwired into your basal ganglia, and the physical action alone triggers it. You've never high-fived somebody and thought, I hate you, you suck, you've blown your life, I hope you lose the game. You've never, ever done it. It is neurologically impossible to stand in front of the mirror and actually think something negative as your hand is reaching the mirror because your brain's not programmed to do that. So when you high-five somebody, what does the high five communicate? If somebody's going through a challenge, it's shake it off. It is so many things, but it's all in belief and celebration and being seen, all of which are your fundamental emotional needs. And so the thing that's super exciting about this is that we're taking programming that is already stored in your mind, body, and spirit, and we're just going to aim it right back at you. And the layers upon layers upon layers of psychological proof, of research, of all kinds of evidence for why this works goes so deep, it's extraordinary. So, for example, the physical action of high-fiving, your brain has always given you a drip of dopamine. That's why you will immediately feel a boost in your mood. It's why a lot of people laugh. The other thing that happens is you are also tapping into wiring in your nervous system that's celebratory. So when you cross a finish line, for example, or when your favorite team scores, what do you instinctively do? Yeah, you raise your arms. Shout surprise, you raise your arms. When you say hello, you raise your arms. When you go to high five somebody, you raise your arms. So even on your lowest morning, when you go to raise your arm to high five yourself, your nervous system taps into that celebratory energy that we all so desperately need in life. The other thing that happens that I love about this is you don't need to say a word, because for many people who feel extraordinarily stuck and beaten down and full of shame or regret, you wouldn't believe any positive mantras anyway, because you've got so much evidence for why you're a screw up, why things aren't working. But when you go to raise your hand, the gesture does all the communicating. And it also taps into behavioral activation therapy, which says, at its most simple form, act like the person you want to become. That's not fake it till you make it, by the way. This is intentional. Intentionally act like the person you want to become. Because when you intentionally act like the person you want to become, your brain sees you taking those actions, so your brain starts to change the way it relates to you. When your brain sees you high-fiving yourself in the mirror, it starts to go, oh, wait a minute. Stephen loves himself. Stephen's cheering for himself. We don't beat Stephen up. It's night and day in that you've been cheering for everybody else your whole life. And when somebody else high-fives you, it feels amazing because you're getting affirmed as a human being. But I believe you can create that same connection with yourself. And what's happened for me is profound. I mean, I used to look in the mirror and on default, pick myself apart. It was never enough. Didn't matter how many millions of dollars I made. It was never enough. I was no. And I realize now, like so many entrepreneurs, I had married achievement with being worthy of love. That as long as I was achieving something, then I was worthy of love. And that's also why we all tend to chase achievement, because the second that you get the first million in the bank, okay, now I got to do more. Because if you're not doing something, then who are you? And in practicing the high five habit for now more than a year, in researching it for more than a year, in having hundreds of thousands of people go through this thing that we call the High Five Challenge. We've released it to the public now for 34 days. We've had 136,000 people complete it from 91 countries. Not a single person, because we're tracking all the data on it, has said it didn't work. Not a single person. We have people writing to us about the breakthroughs they're having with depression, with anxiety, with suicidal ideation, with self-worth, with senses of failure, because it's the physical action and the programming that exists within you that go to work against the patterns that are making you feel so dark and stuck. And that's why this is powerful. And so after a year of doing this, what's amazing is I don't even see my face anymore. I just see a person that I love. Being a parent, it's pretty extraordinary. You have this experience when you become a parent or even a pet owner, right? Where you love this thing so much, even when the dog poops on the ground. You're angry, but you don't stop loving the dog. When your kids screw up, you might be annoyed or regret what they did, but you don't stop loving them. But somehow we never figured out how to do that for ourselves. That when we screw up, we stop loving ourselves and we stand in judgment instead. And I think that's why life is hard. I think that's why people don't feel inspired and motivated. You want to fix imposter syndrome and people pleasing? Learn how to stand in front of the mirror, give yourself a high five, demonstrate that you like yourself, demonstrate that you accept yourself. Because if you like yourself, you don't go out in the world and look for other people to like you, because you don't need it. It's wonderful if they do, but the fantastic thing is if you actually like yourself, if you just accept where you are, you stop judging yourself, you accept yourself with some compassion. What's extraordinarily powerful about it, Stephen, is that When you go out in the world, if somebody else disrespects you, it doesn't change the fact that you respect yourself. If somebody else doesn't like you or love you, yeah, it stings, it sucks, but it doesn't change the fact that you like or love yourself. That's your first foundation. And this high five habit of standing in partnership with yourself, demonstrating through a physical action that you see yourself, you support yourself, you got your own back, you like yourself, you know you deserve to be treated this way. It changes how you show up in life. Yeah, so couple things. Positive mantras don't work. And they don't work because people pick positive mantras that they don't believe. So if you are in a studio apartment eating rice and beans, barely able to pay your bills, standing in front of a mirror and saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. What happens based on research is your brain's like, actually, have you seen where you live? Like, have you seen that you've quit every job that you've had? Have you seen and heard your negative self-talk? I don't think this is going to, like, your brain's like, Your brain has a great bullshit detector. And so the mistake people make is they pick a mantra that is the exact opposite of the way they treat themselves. And you know what evidence it wants? It wants action. Oh yeah? Prove it to me. Behavioral activation therapy. Act like the person you say you want to be, and then maybe I'll believe you. Now, should you still interrupt the beatdown? Absolutely. Absolutely you should. What I'm saying is you got to stop beating the hell out of yourself. But you can't jump immediately to, and it's going to all magically disappear. And I'm going to love my body after beating myself up and hating myself for 20 years. It's not going to happen that fast. So, if you want to do mantras, do a more pathetic mantra. Do something that's like a little bit like more achievable. Instead of, I love my body after trashing your body for 20 years, say, I deserve to be healthy. Even if you hate your body, anybody and any brain can get behind. Yeah, you do. That's right. I'm glad you're waking up. You do deserve to be healthy. Now prove it. Let's take some actions that show you that. So no, mantras don't work if you're picking a mantra you don't believe, and if you're picking a mantra that is the opposite of the way you treat yourself and the actions you take. So that's number one. Number two, manifesting. Everybody has been sold a bill of goods about manifesting. If you make a vision board with your house on the ocean, or you at the stock exchange ringing the bell, and that's all that you have on it, science says that that vision board will become a source of profound discouragement. Because over time, as you sit there and stare at your dream house, or you ring the bell at NASDAQ and nothing in your life changes, you start to feel further and further and further away from what you want, which makes you feel further and further discouraged, which means you're less and less motivated to even begin working on it. Like, the hardest part for everybody is to start. And the reason why is not only the patterns of procrastination and anxiety and stuff that you get trapped in, but it's also because your goals feel so far away that you don't believe that just starting is going to even chip away at it. And so, number one, because it sounds like I just contradicted myself. Yes, you need to have something like a beach house, or the NASDAQ bell, or the business you're starting, or the love affair of your life, or the family you've always envisioned, or the health that you've always dreamt about. Absolutely. Swing for the fences. What do you want it to look like 10 years from now? But when it comes to manifesting based on science, I want you to think as manifesting as a bridge. Manifesting is a bridge that's made of bricks between you and the thing that you dream about. And what you do when you manifest is you don't manifest where the bridge is going. You manifest the bricks. So let's say that you've never run a day in your life, but your bucket list is to complete the London Marathon. Yes, you can put on your vision board a photograph of a runner crossing the London Marathon. You can even put the dream that you have in terms of the number that you want the time to be, okay? But you better put a runner in the rain up there. You better put an alarm clock that says 4:30 in the morning, because that's what time you're going to have to get up in order to get your training runs in. You better put a runner that's gripping their leg like this when they get a muscle cramp. You better put up, a vision of you at mile 13 and your earbuds run out and you still got 2 more miles to go. Visualization is the bricks. And so what I want you to do when you visualize is, instead of visualizing, marathon, I did it, oh, it's amazing. And then you open up, you're like, okay, and I still have not even bought a pair of sneakers. That's not happening, but that was a fun little exercise. No, what you do is you literally visualize, walk into the store and get sneakers. Call your friend who runs and ask for advice. Oh my God, that's me on my first training run. I've only gone 30 seconds and I'm out of breath. Oh, there I am running 3 miles in the rain and I feel proud of myself because I've actually gone out in the rain. Oh, there I am saying no to my friends. I can't go out tonight because I didn't get my run in, but I'm going to go on my big run alone. That, like, you visualize the annoying, irritating, amazing things. I'm sure people look at you all the time with your extraordinary success, Stephen, and are like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? And like, do you know how many things I missed out on? Do you know how many, the amount of work that nobody wants to do because they're not thinking about it is extraordinary. That's the bridge. Anybody is capable of achieving anything. I actually believe that because I think human beings are designed to change. You're capable of breaking any pattern. You're capable of getting control of your health. You're capable of launching a business. You're capable of making millions of dollars. You're capable of healing your trauma, of finding love, of doing absolutely anything that you put your mind to, as long as you are willing to do the work for it and as long as you give up your timeline. Because I do believe that people who put in the work get rewarded. But you just might not get rewarded when you think you're going to be. And it might not be the reward that you thought you were going to get. It's always the case. And that's why I always have big dreams, because I have learned time and time and time and time again, especially in entrepreneurial ventures, that you put this huge flag out there. You write the business plan, you set the goals, and then you put your head down and you put in the work and you ride the wave and you have the disappointments and you spend the late nights and you have the heartbreak and the heartache, and then things change. And then you think, this didn't work out and I got betrayed and why didn't they recognize me? And damn it, I've worked hard and now I got to start all over. And you have all of that. But if you keep going and you keep going, eventually you will look up one day and be like, this is exactly what I was meant to do and what I was meant to discover. Yeah, my business plan said I was supposed to go over here, and I ended up over here because this is what I was supposed to do. But without this business plan, I never would have gotten started. The business plan was but a dot on the map of my life, connecting me to where I'm meant to go. You know, I think one of the most extraordinary things that has happened to me in this past year, especially now that I have this real partnership with myself, where I have a level of trust that through my attitude, through my actions, through a sense of faith, that it's going to turn out. That even when things are really hard, I still believe deep in my core that through my attitude and my actions, it's going to be okay. That I have within me the power to ride the ups and downs and to come out on the other side of it. And, you know, I think that we've all had the experience, Stephen, of being able to look backwards. And I think one of the most powerful things that you can cultivate when you cultivate partnership with yourself is being able every single day to have a level of trust in your life, in the magic of things, in yourself, to know that this moment right now is also a dot on the map of your life. And 5, 10, 20 years from now, you will look back on this moment and you will know exactly why this happened. And why it happened is it was preparing you for something. It was giving you a skill or an experience or some wisdom or a relationship that you're going to need for something extraordinary that's coming. And when you believe that, it gives you the strength to face absolutely anything.